Morning, Andre here. Well, from Dubai this time. Well, just about to get back to work, flying back to Sydney. I've been awake since 2 a.m. It's 10 past 7 now. But yeah, for some reason couldn't sleep very well. I mean, I slept well, but woke up well ahead of my wake-up call. So I have a little time, and I thought finish telling you this story of me migrating to Australia, having a little cup of coffee, see if I can wake up. Um, so yeah, I think on that video, I finished the story at the point when I arrived in Australia, tried to get some money exchanged, and yeah, that was it. And well, getting to the hostel where I was staying. So I stayed at the hostel for about a month, and I started my English course. Well, back then my English was even worse than what it is right now, believe it or not. So started my English course I think 2 days later because I arrived during the weekend. If I remember well, it was like a Saturday or could be. Yeah, I did 3 months of English language course, and from there on, um, my initial plan was to stay in Australia for a year. So, 3 months of English language course, and then a little break in between the English course and my college course, which was IT records management. 1 month break between those two courses, then 6 months course in IT records management, and then I think was another 2 months break before flying back home. But then at the end of my course in IT, I decided to extend it and take a diploma, which would add another year and a half studying. So I did that, extended my college course. In the meantime, in Australia, when you're under a student visa, you are allowed to work for 20 hours. So that's what I did. I was studying, and whenever I was not studying, well, it was a full-time course, so I was studying and working. I was working. My first job in Australia was at a Brazilian restaurant. Funny thing is, it was a Brazilian restaurant, but it was owned by an Aussie guy. His name was Richard, and the name of the restaurant was Rio's. That restaurant was only open twice a week in the evenings, Friday and Saturday evenings. So I was working there. The first evening, if I remember, was 9 hours, and the second I would start something like 3 p.m. and end maybe around 10, if I remember well. And was it 10? It could have been, don't remember, it's been a while. And on the second evening, a little bit longer because Saturday is busier, and yeah, so they needed an extra hand there. The good thing is during school holidays, like between the courses, and whenever I was on school holidays, I was actually allowed to work full time. So during those times, either I would take extra time working for the Brazilian restaurant, or I would get extra jobs. So I've done a bit of everything. I worked in convenience stores, restaurants, hotels. I have worked cleaning, like a little bit of like gardening, basically just pulling weed and from the gardens and well, giving a hand with whatever I could. I have cleaned stadiums. That was tough because after the matches, sometimes, especially if on a rainy day, there would be so much like popcorn and cups and paper, like shredded paper. Um, and after rains, all that sticks to the ground, to the floor. So I would have to get all that cleaned. So it was tough. And well, it was an interesting job. I actually did. I had quite a bit of experience, a bit of everything in Australia. So it was. If I was given the option to change anything during my life in Australia, during my life as a student in Australia, I wouldn't change anything because I thought that before I come to Brazil, I was a little bit childish and spoiled, and I think that taught me a lot. So that was good. I recommend anyone to do a job washing dishes for 3 years. You learn to appreciate the people who do it. Really, you really, really do. Anyone who work as a waiter or those jobs are not they're not easy. They're not easy. Anyone who does cleaning jobs, they're tough. The job is dirty, and that a lot of time those people don't get well paid. So it is a good life experience. Um, so yes, I did my IT course, lasted me 2 years. After that, I wanted to join university, but the thing is, I think the intake would be like half mid-year or something, and I needed a little bit more time to prepare all the documentation. So before joining university, I joined another short course, which was business management, and this was located in Chinatown, Sydney. It was I don't even remember the name of the college anymore, but yeah, it was a short course. It was I think it was 7 or 9 months. While I was preparing the money, the documents, and everything to join university, because I had locked my university in Brazil when I left, but since I had not gone back to Brazil in 2 years, that was all gone. Which doesn't I didn't really want to go back to the course anyway. Um, so I finished my business course, joined university. The university took me about 3.5 years in IT. I graduated in 2000 and was it 2006? 2006 to 2007. From there on, I got the opportunity because under the immigration, like skilled immigration scheme in Australia, uh, when you there is a certain they give you a certain number of points for everything, for many aspects in your life. For example, your English level gives you a certain number of points. Your age gives you a certain number of points. The course you did in university gives you a certain number of points. And once you reach, I believe at the time was 125 points, you can apply for a permanent resident visa in Australia. So that's what I did. I had enough points, applied for it, waited for about 11 months, and eventually got my residency visa. So that was a great day in my life. Yeah. From there on, I found a full-time job. My first full-time job was working for a company called First Data. I was a help desk for cash card ATMs. Those ATMs located in some pubs in Australia. So any kind of technical support or any kind of service they need done to those ATMs, we would try to get all that resolved for them in a timely manner. Yeah, and during the time, that was 2008 when I got the job. Yeah. So at the time, I I thought, you know what, I had many Japanese friends in Australia, and I have always wanted to go traveling to Japan, maybe spend some time there. I had previously been there, but for a short time, and some of my best friends were there, and so I decided to go to Japan. So I thought, you know what, I have my permanent residency visa. I'm going to apply for my citizenship. So I did. I had to wait an additional 1 year, apply for my citizenship. That was 2007 when I think when I no 2008 when I applied. No, applied in 2009 because there were, I had to wait 1 year to apply, but once you apply, actually the process is fairly quick. So applied in 2009, got it in, I don't know, beginning of 2009. So I thought, you know what the heck, let's go on working holiday to Japan. So that's what I did. Around September 2009, I quit my job, I sold everything I had, and off to Japan I went. Where I spent about 1.5 years. Was great, love it there. Don't really like the work culture in Japan so much. Food, the people, places, all amazing, amazing. I would totally recommend you to spend some time there. Well, work culture is a little bit different. I was used to the Australian way of doing things, and don't get me wrong. Actually, the Japanese workplaces, they're great. And the Japanese work very, very hard. But the thing is, let's suppose when you get employed to work 40 hours a week, that's definitely not what you're going to do. You know, in Japan, you're more likely going to work 50, 60 hours. And that's the way how things go there, really. I was working in a kindergarten, which was amazing. Love the kids there. I missed them. I really, really, really missed them. Yeah, they were so cute. And the Japanese kids are so well behaved. But yeah, anyway. So I'm gonna finish this video quickly. So that I just wanted to give you an idea of how I actually got to Australia. If you have any questions, just let me know. In Japan right now, in Dubai right now, sun rose not too long ago, and my flight's a little bit delayed. I guess it's because of all that fog out there. There's a little bit of fog, and it seems like some clouds rolling in. I'm on the 44th floor, and there seems some clouds rolling in, which is bad because it means my flight cannot take off. They are very, very low. But yeah, let's see how it all goes. If you have any questions, or if there is anything I can answer in regards of a life of being a flight attendant, or how what it was like migrating to Australia, or the life as a foreigner overseas, just let me know. On my next video, I think I want to talk about on my last flight last night when we arrived. We had a gentleman had an epileptic attack. So I would like to talk maybe a little bit about life as a flight attendant, and the goods and the bads about it. And I felt sorry for him. He was such a nice gentleman, and he's well. He had a bit, but it was a quite intense moment, and I was the only one around him. So yeah, that was an intense experience. But anyway, see you next time, and cheers.